Welcome back to another Naval News Update. Today we're talking about the significant increase in PLAN activity in the East China Sea, Philippine Sea, and around Japan, and what it means for the deployment of the USS Ronald Reagan that's stationed out of Japan and going to sea as of 3 days ago. So there's a lot of cooperative ELIN activities happening around Japan, specifically joint activities apparently between Russia and China, sending out a lot of maritime assets, listening, collecting intelligence, radio communications, radar transmissions, things like that, data link, everything they can get their hands on from the USS Ronald Reagan battle group apparently. There's also a large PLAN, that's a Chinese Navy operating in the Philippine Sea right now. We'll talk about what they're doing there and where they're headed. We know all these things and we're going to share them with you here today. All right, let's begin. 3 weeks ago, 2nd of May of this year, a large PLAN carrier battle group goes to sea with a large number of ships and transits south of Okinawa into the Philippine Sea, significantly staying out of Japan's economic enforcement zone. So the ships that are at sea right now at the time of this recording are one of two China's aircraft carriers. This one's Liaoning, and she's being escorted by an enormous amount of firepower, one being the Nanjing Type 55, which is their largest, 12,000 ton estimate destroyer that has over 100 VLS vessels, very capable radar and weapon systems protecting it. If I were to compare the Type 55 destroyer to an American ship, the closest comparison would be the Ticonderoga, but in a lot of ways, she's a lot newer and has modern upgrades that the older Ticonderogas don't have. So in that sense, she's very different. They also have three Type 052 Delta destroyers, which are very, capable in and of themselves alongside the Type 55. If I had to compare this, I would say, well, it's close to an Arleigh Burke, maybe not as capable as an Arleigh Burke, but they have three of them. There's also a Type 52 Charlie, which is just providing escort for them. This would be best described as a picket ship with some ASW capability, and a Type 54 Alpha, also what I would consider a picket ship with some ASW capability. And this is all being supported by a Type 901 fast support vessel. So they are prepared to stay at sea supply-wise, logistics-wise, for a very long time. And there's more to it than that. But before we get there, let's see what happened on the 4th of May. May 4th, a large number of H-6 bombers began operating out of China, flying south of Okinawa through those Usami Straits, and began doing what appeared to be like a military exercise with the PLAN fleet. And so this appears to be a workup for an overseas deployment. And they've been doing that now for about the last 2 weeks, from May 4th to about May 16 to 18. So a good 2 week workup there is my point. So this is the H-6 bomber that we're talking about here. This is a, subsonic, but 650 mile per hour bomber. If it gets up high enough, it might be supersonic. But it does have a ceiling of 43,000 feet. It has over a 1,000 mile range and a wide range of weapons. This thing can carry all sorts of missiles, whether it's maritime strike or land strike. It can do both. But the biggest thing here is that it is capable of launching the DF-21D, which is that anti-ship ballistic missile that they call the carrier killer, but it is very capable. Ballistic missile would be very hard to defeat if it was shot at a carrier group, specifically the carrier. And so these are the airplanes that have been operating with that Chinese fleet in the Philippine Sea for the past couple of weeks. All right, so what does all this have to do with the Russian intel? Well, the Russian intel ship, the Balzam class, is operating north of Japan. She transited the Soyuz Strait on the 18th of May, 2022, this year. And we believe that she's operating in conjunction with the Chinese to collect information for when the USS Ronald Reagan goes to sea. At the time of this transit, USS Ronald Reagan is still in port. So they're setting up ahead of time to keep an eye on what the United States carrier fleet is going to do. So here is the Balzam class. This one was the pre-Baltica. She can do 20 knots. I'm very familiar with this ship, by the way. She has 2 shafts. She does have hull-mounted sensors, sonar sensors. So she's got medium frequency passive and a high frequency active. So she can collect intelligence both, beneath the waves with sound and sonar recordings, and ELINT recordings for electromagnetic transmissions, radars, data links, things like that. She's a very good ELINT ship. She also has some weapons. So she's got some point defense weapons, 30 millimeter, what we would call in close-in weapon system here in the United States. And she has the SA-8 Gecko. In her early days, because this is a very old ship, she did have the SA-5, SAN-5. So if you see SAN-5, whenever you do your own Google searches, you may see that, but she was upgraded to the SAN-8 eventually. And she's a purpose-built ship. This ship is designed, before it was even built, to do one job, and that's collect intelligence above and below the waves. And it's very good at doing that. This one is graded by the American military as an excellent platform for communications and intel gathering. And that's what Russia's doing north of Japan, we believe, working with China. So where does the Chinese ship come into this? Well, the very next day, the Chinese intel ship was south of Japan, and she had been at sea since April, operating in the Philippine Sea and in other areas. And she was seen transiting back westward into the Eastern China Sea, or East China Sea, on the 19th of May. And so they're kind of bracketing Japan with these ELINT intelligence gathering ships. This one was with the Dongdao class surveillance ship. And here you can see her in her modernized, upgraded form. She's a 21 knot ship, 6,000 tons, pretty decent sized ship, 2 shafts. She has a helicopter hangar, so she can, take on supplies to stay at sea even longer if she needs to. She is basically an ELINT collection ship, designed just for ELINT collection. I don't have any confirmation of a sonar system on this one. I wouldn't be surprised if she had one, but we can't find confirmation of that. But we know for certain she's designed to collect radar and communications, record them, analyze them, decrypt them, or share them with a shore facility that will decrypt them. And that's their job. They have a couple different weapons. These are 37 millimeter anti-air weapons and 2 dual 25 millimeter anti-air turrets. Basically point defense, but they could be used for like a surface or even short range air engagement if they needed to. So they are armed. And so these ships are working together, we believe, just to keep an eye on what is the USS Ronald Reagan going to do on her annual spring patrol. The spring patrol is a routine thing, happens every year, so everyone knows that USS Ronald Reagan is going out, and they're just pre-positioning themselves to be ready to see what the Americans are going to be doing. So here is a big picture of what we look like today. Over the last 3 weeks, these operations have been going on. The PLAN fleet, the carrier battle group, is still in the Philippine Sea at time of this recording, and the USS Ronald Reagan just went to sea on Friday, so 3 days ago. And so they're just listening and seeing what we're doing. The PLAN fleet is performing air operations, which triggered the Japanese Maritime Defense Force to scramble some fighters. And they've also got some fast craft, small craft, watching both the Russian and the Chinese intel collection ships as they transit near their island waters. So what is the PLAN doing? Well, we know that they're prepared for a long deployment, and every indication we have right now is that they're on their way to the Gulf of Aden, which is that little gulf between Yemen and Saudi Arabia on that peninsula and the Horn of Africa. That is a hive of pirate activity, or it has been in the past. And we believe that they're going there to show the flag because China has done this before. China has a large maritime fleet and fishing fleet that they have an interest of protecting from these pirates. So we believe that this is going to be their deployment. And because of the Belt and Road Initiative that you see the arrows, both red and blue, lines up there, they have lots of different ports around the globe now that they can pull in to resupply and stay at sea for extended periods of time. So not only are they going to sea with the 901 fast support craft, they also have places that they can pull in and do refit, repair. They control the operations of these ports in foreign countries because of the Belt and Road Initiative. And I encourage you, for those of you that never heard of the Belt and Road, to Google it and do some reading on it. It is a ambitious long-term project that has seen results that you see here on the screen, and they're not done. It's continuing. It's pretty impressive what they've done and how they've connected Chinese ports around the world in foreign countries, or taken over operations is a more accurate way of saying it, of foreign ports for Chinese activity around the world. Belt and Road. Google's your friend. Look it up. It's crazy. All right. So here we are. This is what we look like today at the time of this recording. The USS Ronald Reagan is somewhere on this map. I will not pinpoint it for you, but the Russians and the Chinese are clearly working together, conducting workup operations in the Philippine Sea and keeping an eye on the American fleet. And we can, suppose that the American fleets are doing the same to China. So that's what's happening right now. Pretty exciting times, lots of activity. These are the types of events that really get my attention, and I love bringing them to you. Now, if you have any questions about what's going on, if I didn't cover something that you want to know about, leave a comment below, and we'll get you some answers, okay? All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.